Good evening, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where in the world you are. And welcome to our webinar on understanding of royalty payments and the sales dashboard. This is second of multiple webinars that customer success team is going to be hosting over 2024. So we are going to have one webinar per month until the end of the year. The next webinar is going to be discussing promotions and marketing options on our platform. That one is going to be in September. The one after that in October is going to be discussing the EPUB corrections and formatting because there have been challenges around that. So those are going to be obviously shared and communicated, most likely, obviously depending on the interest, but most likely we are going to be continuing with the webinars into 2025 as well. So today, we're going to tackle one of the topics that seems to be very frequent when it comes to the questions and comments that were received from our clients, authors, and publishers. So we're going to talk about the sales dashboard and about the royalty payments. So we get a lot of questions around these topics, and there are some misunderstandings about the details due to the number of different stores that we are utilizing, due to different business policies they utilize. So I'm going to go through our dashboards, and I'm also going to answer some of the most frequent questions. Obviously, you can at any time you can drop your own questions into the chat. I'm going to try to get to as many as possible. If I don't have a specific answer for you the very moment you ask the question, I will be following up after our webinar. So let me start by sharing my screen and showing you the reporting in the platform. I'm certain that you're already familiar with this because you have definitely seen these. Let me just find, okay, there it is. I am sharing my screen right now, so you should be able to see it. Yes. So now we're going to start with the sales analytics first. Obviously, we're already in the sales analytics screen. So from your menu on the left side, you're accessing both sales analytics dashboard and the royalty payments dashboard. As you can see, we have two different sections to which you can select from the top header. We have sales and we have pre-orders. We are going to start with the sales page. So first of all, I'm going to go through the different items that you can see here and how you can filter different information. So if you see any difference between this dashboard, you shouldn't be, but if there is any difference between the dashboard that I'm currently sharing and the dashboards on your end, please note that this is a demo account. So there are it shouldn't be in sales analytics or the royalty payments, but when we get to the account settings, there might be something slightly different. So you can see that there is, first of all, you can select the date range that you would like to see the data for. The default is going to be 7 days. So you have predefined options of 30 days and 3 months. You notice that whenever I click a different option, it automatically refreshes. So you just need to select your filters and the data is automatically going to be refreshed. Also, you do have the option of custom date range. So you can say that you want to see the entire 2024. You can do that. You can do a single week. You can do at any point in the past since you joined the PublishDrive, but date range is obviously completely customizable. When it comes to the sales type, you have your paid books, your free books you might have been giving away for free, and all. Note that by default, when it comes to different sections, all is going to be enabled. So you can filter what the way that works for you. But for example, you're going to select if you want to see sales for a specific book or specific series, you're able to do that from book selected and then customs. But by default, when you open this dashboard, it's going to be all. So same goes for countries. You can select any country that you want to see the sales for. You can reset all of your filters. You can hide it. So you can show for the specific stores, one or multiple, it doesn't matter. So you can do any combinations of stores combined with any combinations of dates, with any combinations of books. So generally, it's the reporting portion is very customizable on that front. And if I scroll down, you will see how this is going to show for you. So you will see the total copies for the defined categories. You will see number of refunds, estimated earnings. I'm going to get back to why estimated and how it's calculated and some other common questions about this topic as we go on. So as I said, this is pertaining to the sales, but then again, we do have pre-orders as well. So obviously that's not something that everyone is going to be doing. It's going to be different depending on your specific needs, but it's handy to have it available. So you have the same filters available. So the date range, the books that you want to select, countries, stores, book formats, whichever you want, or all of them, and you will see the same data. And I'm going to scroll down for the sales because it's essentially the preview of the sales analytics page is going to be the same. It's just that the sales section is something you will be using more. So here you can see shown the copies and the estimated earnings. And again, those can be broken down by stores. And let's take a look at the copies first. So let's go to the copies first. You can look at the total numbers. You can look at the stores specifically. So the reason you are seeing the breakdown like this is because I have adjusted the filters to cover the entire 2024. So obviously this is something that you can break down in any other way. You can have it by day, by week. Also, I set the date range for 2024. But here you can also see how you want to break down that data. So we can see by week by 2024 or by day in the entire 2024. So you can see it here by store. Have I selected I have only selected a number of stores. Reset all. Now see how it's going to change. So like I said, you can select specific stores. You can go for all the stores. Again, it's very customizable depending on what you're looking to do. You can also see the number of copies and the number of copies per date, and you can see by titles, by series. You can have the daily breakdown. Obviously, this is not convenient if we're looking at the entire year, but if you're looking at like 5 days or 6 or a couple of weeks, that is going to be much more convenient. Also, you have the option to export your data. So you will see this data in the dashboard visualized in any way you select it. So for example, this is for a year. Let me show you what it's going to look like for a week. So let's do daily, let's do by stores. So this is going to be the daily breakdown for the stores. And obviously this is very nice to look at, but sometimes you just want to have the data in a document. You just export data. It's going to export into an Excel file. That Excel file is going to include information, sales date for each individual title, ISBN, author, title, series. It's going to be transaction type as well, quantity, the price currency, royalty price. So a unit price that is listed at the store, and then again the royalty price, or rather the portion that is going to go to you. So country of sale, book format, etc. So you are going to be seeing those. So this is the copies portion. So you can also see your estimated earnings. I'm going to go more into the earnings portion and how that shows when we get to the royalty payments section. But that's the other, and this is also a report that's going to, the data that's going to be shown in the report. So all the information that are within sales analytics can be shown in the form of graphs and can be exported in an Excel file, and that you can make that data as granular or as little granular as you wish. So you will also see, again, we are in the estimated earnings section, but you will see it broken down by store. You will see broken down by the book format. You will see it broken down by geo. So also, if you scroll down, you're going to see your best-selling titles and best-selling series if applicable, and you're going to see your locations. So again, this is specifically your for the time frame that you have selected when you have set up when you have filtered the data here. So all of the is going for that we have just seen in the sales tab is going to show in the pre-orders as well. So if you scroll down, you have the same option to filter. You have the option to see all the exactly same items, all the same data. You also have the option to export your reporting. So you have a lot of information that is contained in this, section. So okay, so Godfrey, we are going to connect. We need to connect separately because I need to take a look at your specific account to answer your question. So also, Alexander, you will all receive, so everyone who has signed up for the webinar, after the webinar will receive the recording of the webinar. It is being automatically recorded. So obviously, I fully appreciate that there are people who won't be able to make it. There are people who might be still away on the summer holidays, so they should have the video available. Godfrey, you and I can connect separately offline and see why you're experiencing an issue. So we get some frequent questions regarding the sales analytics generally. So sometimes you might see this, not necessarily, but you might see negative transactions in the sales data. So if you see a negative transaction, it usually means that a reader has decided to ask for a refund. So most of the ebook stores allow readers to get refunds usually within 7 days. Some of them maybe even 14, but most of them within 7 days. So that would be the negative transaction. That wouldn't be published. We get a question, how often is the reporting refreshed? So that question goes for sales data and for royalty calculations as well. So the short answer is this depends on the store. So real-time sales appear for some of the stores. So real-time sales appear for Amazon, they appear for Apple Books, for Barnes & Noble, Google Play, Kobo. So when I say real time, I don't mean second per second, but I mean that within a day, most of the systems are set up in a way that within 24 hours, you have the accurate reporting data. Now, others don't have live reporting. So for example, for Scribd, for Bookmate, for Hoopla, for Dreamy, for Storytel, for a number of publishers, you would get your reporting by the 15th of the next month after the sale happened. So, and the final payout report would be at the beginning of the next month. So it is kind of confusing. So let me give you an example because it, like I said, there is the reason we receive a lot of questions about this is because there are a lot of stores, and those stores have their individual policies. So, for example, for this specific question, reporting, you had sales in January. January sales are going to be the data about the January sales are going to be updated real time for Amazon, Apple Books, Google, Kobo, Barnes and Noble. For the other publishers, you have had, again, sales in January. You will get the data by February 15th, and then the official earning and the payout report will be published early March. So that is the cadence. Again, I don't expect any of the authors or any of the publishers to know this data by heart. We have this data available in our help center, and if you need it, we have this data available again through our chatbot. And if you are confused or at any point about that, you can always reach out to our support team to clarify the details and what exactly your data means, and if you should be seeing anything that you are not seeing yet, or if there is anything pending. I can understand that when working and getting the data that is not perfectly clear, it can be frustrating. We have a very dedicated support team that you can email at support@publishdrive.com. And they're always, if you can't get that information through Help Center or a chatbot, we have a support team that is humans that, and they are going to understand that, the frustration, and they are happy to help at any time. So one more thing before we go to the royalty payments tab that I want to address, and that is something that we get a lot, and it's a very valid question. So sometimes your sales analytic data, so the data shown in this page that I have just shown, the sales analytics one, and the royalty payments pages, will show different data per month. So in the monthly view. So if you're looking at data, say March 2024, in sales analytics and royalty payments, they might not match. They might match, they might not. Now, the reason why this happens, this doesn't mean that there is an issue with the systems. Obviously, if you're unsure, you are welcome to reach out and we can check. But the reason is that the counting methodologies are different. So this discrepancy is caused by the fact that not all stores close the month at the same time. So while the sales analytics, it's going to display the latest sales. Literally, when you say March, it says March 1st to March 31st. But it's possible that some stores already closed the month before the actual end of the month. So each of them, we do have a document on that. If anyone ever needs it, I can share it, but they might close the month or count the sales for per month, not between first day of the month and the last day of the month, but 15th to 15th and similar. So some of them have probably closed the data for the month before the actual date end of the month and forwarded us the report and royalties. So you can see all these details in your earning reports. So you can see the information regarding each of your sales in those reports, and you can compare those for yourself. If you're not sure, you will see that they will match. It's just that they won't necessarily be reported within the same month. Any royalties that haven't been forwarded will be sent with the next month. And then again, you will be able to track them in the next month's earning report. So Also, it's important to note that live sales are subject to changes in temporary lags. So that's what I said essentially when I said we're looking at roughly for the stores that have live reporting. It's not live every second. The second something is sold, that second it shows up in the reporting, but it does. It usually most of the softwares are looking at 24 hours to get the regular to get the full information uploaded into reporting. So that I have answered the questions that we have had so far. So we can move to royalty payments. Let me just upload that. Okay, so yes, I'm sharing the royalty payments. So here again, you will see the disclaimer here that this, unlike the sales data, it doesn't refresh live. So it will refresh a few times a month. Different stores are going to refresh at different times. I'm going to get to that. And there is also, again, a lot of documentation regarding that. So what you can see in the royalty payments, first of all, you can see the unpaid earnings here. You will also see these neat that I really like the little eye buttons. So when you hover over them with your cursor, you will see the explanation of the metric that you're looking at. So you will see your unpaid earning, your payout date. Again, I'm going to get to the payout dates as well because that doesn't depend on PublishDrive, that depends on the stores, and it varies greatly by the stores. You will have the revenue and withholding if there is anything that requires to be withholding. Also, there is a payout history, and you have the option to see all of them. So you also have the option to download every individual invoice. So I said this is a demo account, so it's for you. When it comes to the individual invoices, you will have a little icon here where it says invoice that you click and you can download your invoice from there. So you can absolutely do that. You can see monthly royalty revenue. Again, you can see it you see it per year, and you select the year that you want to see it for. Again, you will see your, like in a form of a table, the royalty revenue, and you can again download that report as well. So you can download all of it, not in the same way as you download the sales report, and the sales reports, they're going to be separate, but you can absolutely download your invoices directly from the royalty payment section, and you can download your monthly royalty revenue reports again from the royalty payments section as well. So one more thing that we need to one more. There are multiple things that are very important when it comes to royalty payout and that is necessary. That is necessary to in order to get the royalty payout. So. Very important to note that in order for us to be able to share the royalties, you need to fill out your tax form. So this needs to be provided before we can proceed with the payout. That is done only once. That is done after you publish your books. I'm going to show you how you're going to do that. We're just first going to take a look at the couple of other things that we need to complete. So another thing that is definitely important is that you want to be mindful of setting up the payment threshold. So the payment threshold can be found under account settings. You would see your name obviously here instead of Jane. You would go to the account settings. And then here you will see details regarding your specific account. But we are going to look specifically at the payout settings. So this is where you would complete the tax form, and this is where you would handle the payout threshold. So the default threshold is going to be $50. You can change it, and you have predefined options that you can select. We don't have the option to select no payment threshold due to transaction fees that are applicable to all payouts. That is not to do with the PublishDrive. That is to do with the programs that are used for money transfers. So also important to note that if the transaction costs, which is why we're talking about the minimum payment threshold, and tax withholding are higher than the royalties, we will be unable to start the payout. So going back to when it comes to the actual payment, once you have received your sales report, and you will receive it in the sales and analytics where we were looking at it, you will have until the 15th of the next month to complete the legal and payment information for your regard for the payment methods. But before we get to that, I want to go back to the payout terms, because this again causes a lot of confusion for some of the clients. And when I say confusion, payout terms, the timelines and the details are store specific. So I'm not going to go over each individual store, but I'm going to just outline how some of the biggest stores work and what the differences between those biggest stores can be. So that is because we do receive questions and concerns about not receiving royalties in a timely manner, not showing up, or having reports of smaller royalties than they should. And as I said, this is due to the fact that stores have very, very different policies. So, for example, also these policies depend on the format of the books. There, we are going to have Amazon, and then Amazon is, for example, going to have sometimes different rules for ebooks versus print books. So there is a very comprehensive list regarding the payout terms that we can share with you. So for example, for the print books, the most common stores are Amazon and Ingram. When it comes to the sales data, so Amazon is going to be pretty much real time. So they might have 24 hours to 48 hours delay. While Ingram is going to have 5 days delay. And for example, China Print is going to have, for the sales data, delay is going to be 45 days. So there is going to be obviously a lot of difference. For again, Amazon and Ingram are going to pay monthly. And Amazon is going to provide the sales report 90 days after the month, and then payment by the end of that month when their report was published. Ingram is going to apply the same logic, but instead of 90 days, it's going to be 105 days. They will pay monthly, but there will be a delay. So in practical terms, that means that you will have January sales. You will get the payout report early in May and payment by the end of May, for example. So you might get a monthly report that's going to include Amazon, but not Ingram, because Amazon is looking at 90-day delay and Ingram is looking at 105-day delay. That's what I was referring to when I said that sometimes your data is not going to match the way you would expect them to. So similar applies to the audiobooks as well. So for example, Apple Books, Google Play, Kobo Audio, they're going to again have monthly reportings. They're going to pay out reports, to send payout reports some between 45 and 90 days after each calendar month, depending on individual. And but most of them are going to provide the reports monthly. That being said, there are publishers who provide their both of their reports and their royalties quarterly. So this is all this documentation. I'm not going to go into every individual publisher. So, but the important thing is that there are a lot of different models that different stores use, and that's something the PublishDrive cannot affect. So, when it comes to that, we just don't have any power over that. We do pay out royalties as they roll in. Okay, yes, that brings me, we do have a question regarding taxes. So your tax settings are going to be, and it is actually fairly simple. So first of all, for the tax forms, let me just go back to yes. So for the tax forms, you will be, as I said, you will be prompted to complete your tax form, which is going to be under account settings, under payout settings. So I'm going to share, because I don't have it in the demo account, I have it, I'm going to show you that in a moment in a PowerPoint. So there are going to be, let me just stop sharing and then let me share the other document. Okay, so basically, when you go to your account settings and you're prompted to complete a tax form, there are going to be different types of tax forms depending on whether the individual or company is located inside or outside the United States. So there are three different types of tax forms. And for the individuals and companies that are outside of United States, will be prompted to complete one that is called W8BEN and W8BENE. So I'm going to share that in a written communication. Obviously, it's not something that's catchy and easy to remember, but you are going to be prompted to choose one of the three. The third one is for individuals and companies residing within the United States, and that's W9. But you're pretty much automatically going to be sent to the correct one, because that's going to depend on your country of residence. And you will be selecting the country in the where you reside. So you will be, first thing that you will be prompted to do is complete the details regarding the payment method. The address, sorry, not the payment method. Method comes afterwards. So you will need to add your information. So the email, the phone numbers, the company, if applicable, address, and country and the country where you reside. You're going to be completing the payment method. So this is the payment method that you will utilize to pay for our services, but also the payment method that is going to be used to complete your to receive your royalties. Typically, usually it's going to be PayPal or a credit card. For the what's the most important thing that you want to be mindful of, full and correct bank name and SWIFT, and obviously country, but that is the key part. When you after you complete the payment method information, you're going to go to the next. Once you go to the next, you're going to be prompted to select the tax form. So you will be offered by default the one that is applicable to your country that you have listed in your address. That being said, there are going to be, for example, American citizens who do have to pay taxes in the US, even if they live in in a different country. So that's why you will see that you do have options, that you're not going to automatically be assigned a specific tax form. So if specifically the questions here have been about the individual outside of the US. So generally it's going to include your name, citizenship address, mailing address, and you will be prompted to use your tax identification number. So that is going to depend on a specific country of origin, because the local laws and bylaws are going to vary. So, for example, UK citizens have unique taxpayer reference or national insurance number. Different, again, people coming from different countries are going to have different numbers. Germany was mentioned. I'm not sure specifically for Germany, but I'm happy to look into that. Also, that is definitely something that can be checked on your end as well, because, as I said, the local laws and regulations do differ. This is going to be processed. You're going to review your information. You're going to sign the contract, submit the form, and then the tax form is going to go under review. And it typically takes around 24 hours to validate the tax form. We very rarely have any issues with that, because it's just the basic information that are needed for that. And it takes, like I said, around 24 hours. That being said, if you do encounter issues, you can reach out to our support team and they will happily look into that for you, confirm, check, because it can be overwhelming, particularly for authors who are publishing for the first time. And if unsure, we will happily assist. Let me look through the questions. Okay, so Godfrey, I don't think that we have been in contact before. I mean, specifically you and me, but let me reach out to our support team and see what your issue was and get it addressed, since you mentioned that it hasn't been addressed. Gina, let me see if there is, again, I'm going to check. Okay, so we have a few more questions about taxes. So this means I'm giving my tax ID in my own country, correct? So the tax ID is specific to the country where you reside, where you live, not necessarily where you're a citizen, because those can be different. But yes, you will get the tax ID in your country where you live. Non-resident people pay tax to the USA. No, sorry, I misspoke. So if you're not a US citizen, you're not paying taxes to the USA. So I hope that answers the question. If you have any more questions, let me know in the chat. There are a lot of information regarding these items in our help center. As I said, we are happy to help directly, but also there are a lot of resources that are available to you. Feel free to reach out. We will happily clarify things for you and assist if you need any additional help, if you need help setting this up, if you're unsure how to handle your tax forms, if you are unsure about the reporting that you're seeing, and we will happily help. If you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to reach out. We will continue having the webinars. The next webinar is going to be in September. We don't have a set date yet, but it's going to be communicated through blog, through social media, and through emails, the same way that this and previous webinar have been communicated. Thank you so much for attending. I will follow up with the users who have specific issues that they have brought up. Thank you everyone for joining. I hope to see you in a different webinar too. Thank you all.